Like, even if it's not physical, like, you could say you got taken advantage of emotionally. So I wanted to put that in a song, but I wanted to make it seem like it was a physical thing. You know what I mean? So I wanted to touch on that subject because I just feel like nobody ever has, in this generation at least, nobody has talked about it.
You ever been molested? I got molested when I was 8.
You got molested when you was 8?
Yep.
You know, I'm gonna be real. I did get molested when I was young.
All right.
A family member? Was it a family member?
It was like, I don't even like talking about it, honestly. But I did get molested when I was mad young. I don't like talking about it because it's just like, it's not me. I don't want that to define me as my person. You know what I mean?
It won't. I mean, for me, I didn't even think it was something wrong until I got older. I actually saw Tyler Perry on Oprah, and he was on there talking about it and crying about it. And I was like, well, what the hell's wrong with him? And then I had to think, well, what's wrong with me that I enjoyed it, but, you know, he didn't. So that's just something that you'll unpack as you probably get older.
I just don't like talking about that shit.
And see, people always talk about, well, why didn't somebody come forward when it happened? Why would somebody wait until 20 years later to bring it up? But when it's time for you to feel like you want to express yourself, that's when it's time. And if you're not ready to express that,
I think it's different for young men, though, especially when it's a woman.
It's different because, like, you feel emasculated. Like, that's why most men don't come out and say, like, that happened to them. Like, women is easier, but with men is not. It's not a thing because you don't want to be seen like a bitch.
But who touched on you, a man or a woman?
It was a man.
Oh, see, mine was a woman. So I get it.
Did you still see that family member when you got older, or?
He didn't say it was a
I
family
said,
member.
nah.
Oh.
It's the crazy part that I know the person.
Right now.
Right now. I don't talk to him. I don't nothing.
Did you ever tell anybody, like in your family?
My mom knows and my brothers know.
Did they believe you when you told them, or?
Yeah, they believe me.
They believed you.
Yeah.
You got to put him on blast. Because, I mean, you never know. I mean, he probably still doing that now. You know what I'm saying? The other young men.
It's way more complicated than that.
I feel you.
And don't get me wrong, it's not my dad or no crazy shit like that.
You know what I'm saying? Man. You got that's not even a conversation for us. That's a therapy conversation.
Absolutely.
It's not my, like, it's really not, like, something I like talking about, bro, because it's just, like, I don't like feeling like that. I just don't like thinking about it. I hate it. That's what made me want to be a better person every day.
All right.
Now,
let's get off this highway.
Let's talk about your influences growing up. You're from Miami.
Yeah.
You know, something that is very, this is dire. This is dire. This is a dire situation. If I have ever said the word dire situation or the term dire situation, this is a dire situation. So many men walking around with this trauma. This trauma and this horror. It's horror trauma, horrific trauma. And you know the worst thing about men's trauma? We are so cavalier about it. We're so cavalier about it. We're just so blasé. We're just like, oh yeah, shit happens. That is not okay. It is not okay. It is okay to know that it is not okay. It is okay to know that it is not okay and to remind yourself that it is not okay. But at the same time, when you do that, it gives you a leeway to fucking break apart. And you don't have time to do that. You know, I don't know if I put the clip before or after, right? This bodybuilder, Kai Green, is sitting on stage crying, saying when somebody has sex with you without your permission, what do you call that? You know, a rapper I commonly bring up, Denzel Curry, right? Even the guy interviewing him, Charlemagne is a fucking menace on The Breakfast Club if you watch it, right? And I didn't pay attention when I first watched it. Charlemagne says, yeah, you know, I was molested at 8, right? Then Denzel Curry is bringing up, right, one of his songs, Taboo, right? is talking about rape and molestation. And then he goes into his story about how he was also raped and molested, and he knows he still interacts with the person who did it, the man who did it, right? And like I asked before, how many men are carrying around stories like this? I cannot say that I have really ever been assaulted in that sense, gratefully, right? There are some certain incidents that happened that kind of are somewhat fishy, right? Apart from like, you know, being like very, very emotionally abused by teachers. Yes, that happened, right? But there was nothing particularly, okay, yeah, we did kind of get, yeah, okay, yeah. Now, right, growing up in the developing country framework, right, even at the age of like 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, teachers was still allowed to beat the students. They still do it now, right? Only thing is that nowadays kids are burning schools down for it, and I couldn't be more proud of you. I couldn't be more proud of you. Oh my gosh, right? But back then it was like a weird. I am very, very fucking sure they got turned on beating children, right? I remember this one time, this one teacher used to like, you know how like in wrestling, when they put the other wrestler's head in between their legs to do like a power bomb, right? This one teacher used to put our head between his legs and then like whip our, it was some weird ass fucking BDSM shit, to be honest. Weird as fuck. Weird as all fuck. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that does qualify for abuse, but again, you know, it's just one of those things, right? Now there was this one time, this teacher, I can't remember what I was doing. Maybe I was making noise in class or something. She put me under, she was like sitting on a desk. She put me under the table, like timeout, right? I don't know if this even qualifies as abuse, but like, even when I was a kid, right, I could, like, she was wearing a fucking skirt. First of all, she was wearing a skirt. Her legs were so fucking nice. And, like, I could literally, like, it's literally like a woman in a short skirt, right, telling you to sit underneath the table. And, like, I'm making eye contact with her fucking panties. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is wow, you know? I still think of that. I still think back to that, and I'm like, wow, that's fucking hot, you know. But at the same time, right? That's very, very fucking bloodlines, isn't it? Right? Very bloodlines. And it goes back to, you know, fixing your rudimentary problems, right? Fixing your rudimentary problems. And because I'm like the unconventional one, I have studied across different religious systems. The seven heads system, right? I call it that, right? But you may know it as like the chakras, right? The 7 different chakras. I call it 7 heads because it actually does make more sense to call it 7 heads, right? If you know the 7 deadly sins, the same thing. It's literally the same principle. Time and time and time again, what came up to me is being able to fix the basal head, right? The basal head, which is, the root, and the voice head, right? The blue one and the red one. And, the basal head is, to me, like that's the foundation. That is your foundation. That is my foundation. That is the foundation of your energy system. Is the foundation of your energy system. That is where your energy system emanates. And, if anything, God, right? God is emanation. That basal system is where you emanate from, right? And this is something that I experienced. Almost, literally 7 years ago now. The last time there was like a huge sort of cosmic shift. It's something that is very, very poorly. It's not even actually taught. It's just fear-mongered about, right? It's an energy system. It's an energy system that, within Hindu scriptures is called the Kundalini. I can best describe it, right, without too much fluff. I can best describe it as the mortal coil. It is the mortal coil. That is what it is, right? That is what it is. It is the spiritual mortal coil. But more so, it is nature energy at its most fullest. And you have to realize that how it's emanating from you either tells you whether you're doing a good job with yourself or a terrible job with yourself. When it first happened to me, it was fucking tumultuous. I was doing a terrible job with myself. And the thing is that arrogant self-confidence in me was trying to pretend that I had everything under control when I didn't. That basal head emanation, it's something that I had to learn. It is literally, it's like nature is airdropping you a power up, and it's like, let's see what you can do with this neophyte young child, right? And the more I learned how to literally fucking humble myself, I had to fucking humble myself. I had to fucking keep reminding myself to humble myself. The more that energy was able to acquiesce within you, right? If you see all those videos that come across your feed that are like, beware this, beware that, right? Spiritual stoogification is what these Abrahamic religions, the way they have been taught, right? Spiritual stoogification, spiritual fucking stooges, right? I am on that unfortunate emanation whereby I experience a lot of things that other people would find superstitious, but like, nature isn't there to scare you. Nature is always there to come and tell you to come back, right? Come back, literally come back every time. It's just come back, right? And you see how the world is burning right in front of our fucking eyes? I say the basal head, right? Because at the same time, being a man, I think to some degree we can understand that this is a man's world, right? Or rather, everything is so visualistic, right? Everything is so visual. Like, that is not oriented to women, right? They're visual for very, very different reasons than we are visual. But, for the most part, you can say, right, this is a male-oriented world. I didn't say it's not a world made for men. It's a male-oriented world, right? And, you know, because of that, the word sex itself carries so much fucking weight, so much stigma, so much importance, so much consequentialism. You know, sex isn't what we think. You know, what you thought sex was maybe 10, 15 years ago is definitely not what the fuck it is right now. It is so fucked up. And you know, me seeing how, like, you know, even being able to interact with people, like, you know, it's always a situation where it's like, you know, how many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? Like, literally, it's gotten to that point. I'm not even fucking 30 years old yet, but it's gotten to that point. And you can't explain that to fucking boomers, right? They're still doing the same ghoulish bullshit, right? But at the same time, it's done, it's done. It's done, it's done, right? It's done, it's done. Because I have been, you know, I guess we are in a secondary psychotic epidemic, secondary psychosis epidemic, right? You're not the one who's fucked up, but you're in the way of the fucked upness, and the amount of collateral damage you will experience is somewhat worse because you're not as desensitized to it as other people. You know? There's the basal head, right? The root. And then there's also, you know, the throat, right? The voice, which, you know, for an introvert, or somebody who generally keeps to myself or is to myself, right? That is something that I always will have issues with to some degree, right? But again, when you seek it out in nature, nature will start unraveling it for you, right? It's something when you have so much common sense and you have certain insights that you will physiologically bind yourself up so as to not make, you know, shrinking yourself to make other people feel bigger. And you know, in most circumstances, that is never a way to begin interactions, right? But the fact that I have lived in this bruised ego-ass society, bruised ego, communal narcissistic society, I've literally just had to do it to just avoid conflict, you know? But at the same time, that got in the way of me truly defining where I'm going to be, right? I sound like fucking Hercules right now, or whatever. You know, time to take my vitamin. Oh man, you know, trust me, destigmatize therapy, man. Do it. Destigmatize therapy. Do not fucking go to, destigmatize it. You need to help you, right? Help you. That is what, first of all, help isn't even a word that it fits in the male vocabulary very easily, but help you, right? Help you. Accepting the fact that, my dad has a sadistically bruised ego. My mom also has chronic borderline personality disorder, right? And it's these very small things that showed it up, right? pizza. Pizza, right? There's a usual place that we get pizza from every Tuesday, but again, me starting this whole self-improvement thing, I couldn't eat the pizza anymore. I literally couldn't. More so because a security guard told me, like, I used to work in that place, man. If I told you what the hell they put in those, you would never eat them again. And slowly by slowly, I started, like, my body's like, I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this, right? But there is another pizza. Here's the thing about working out. Cheat meals are needed, right? You have to customize yourself so as to not get back into that cycle. But cheat meals are needed, right? Treat your fucking self once in a while, just do it, right? Do it because, you have to live with you. Anyways, I told my dad, I literally can't eat the pizza. I can't eat, like, physically, my gut doesn't understand. And again, their fucking, like, emotional, incestuous fucking ass comprehension is like, but anyways. So I told them that, right? Then immediately, my mom freaks out. She snaps. She's like, wait, so, everybody can't have their own specific orders, can they? No. So blah, 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 blah. It was like, I literally just said, man, it's done, man. Whatever, man. I'm not getting into it. I can't. How do I even begin? Where do you even begin? And I've had to fucking rationalize living with a fucking loony like that. Literally, what nobody will tell you about having to interact with and live with borderlines. First of all, you will end up interacting with borderlines throughout your life, and you won't realize why they're so fucked up. But second of all, when you ask something of them, or when you ask something in general within their vicinity, it is literally like you are asking the entire fucking world. It is literally like you are asking the entire fucking world for what you're asking for. Right? That is a deep root cause of secondary psychosis. And we're in a secondary psychotic epidemic, right? I'm calling it now. It took me having to go see other therapists to the point where I can I'm already at a point where, like, since December, right, I was like, it's done, right? I'm emotionally tapped out. I'm done, right? Like, this back and forth is never going to happen again, right? That was final. That was like my final gifts to them, right? It's never going to happen again. It's just not, right? Since that point, it's become more apparent. Even other relatives, right? There's that lingering animalistic sense of control, this need of control, right? Need of, like, it's like sludge, right? It's like you're related to fucking sludge. It is like, literally, it's like the worst kind of sludge, and it is so it's so disgusting. It's so disgusting. It's just revolting. You can't even explain it, right? I just call it a fucking stench. It is a fucking stench. And for me, being like, of African descent, right? Our culture is vanishing right in front of our fucking eyes. But even then, like, I have not been in a place where I'm that deeply in touch with either side of my parents' culture. But the moments when I did attempt to do so, it just more and more came to the conclusion that humans are literally just full of shit. It doesn't matter where they're from, what they speak, they're full of fucking shit. They are full of fucking shit. And to be honest, let it fucking burn. Let it die. Let it all fucking die. What am I preserving it for, really? Humans are fucking greedy, capricious as fuck. Right? Greedy, capricious as fuck, egotistical to the point where their venomous ass egotism is just so, you're supposed to be complacent to it. It doesn't matter where you're from. You have to connect with you, right? And I'm at a place where I've connected with an ancestral spirit, that is just always circling you, despite anyone, right? Being a middle child overachiever again. Let's leave that, making too many excuses on the side, which I'm still, my ego is still like, no, it's not true. But anyways, right? The overachiever, chronically borderline mother, right? Bruised ego, fucking incapable of, bruised ego mouthpiece father, right? They've created uncompromising circumstances, and I can't keep putting the rationale in anymore, right? I have over and over, and this is the thing about the Izanami, right? I love that concept. I love that concept. Until you accept the fact that nobody asked, you will keep circling the fucking sludge fest, right? The smegma fest. I call it the smegma fest, right? You pick whatever you want. Pick whichever term you want. It's one reason I had to admit to myself that I have some subtle form of Stockholm syndrome, because I'm like, I can't deal with it here. I can't fucking deal with you fucking apes. I literally can't deal with you fucking apes like this. I can't, right? In doing so, I'm like, maybe if I go travel to this country or immigrate to this country, but that in itself is a fucking, you're tying one of the longest nooses in the world around your fucking self right now. To be African and to travel outside, you are literally fucking noosing yourself to the point where it's not even, it's catastrophic. It's fucking catastrophic, man. It's fucking catastrophic. Trust, right? And I keep saying this, it doesn't even matter where you are. It doesn't even matter where you live right now. It is just imploding right in front of our faces, right? It's all just imploding right in front of our faces. So, sink or swim, sunken costs, you name it. Nature, that's the thing, right? It's that scarce, that operating from a place of lack, that operating from a place of fucking lack, right? Nature is all around us, and nature wants to work with fucking us. We convince, right? Either you convince yourself or you let yourself get convinced by others. Convince, right? Nature knows no other language. And, in seeking that healing inside, right? You understand very well the concept of a phoenix, I'm sure. Even colloquially, even just in passing, right? The bird that resurrects itself from its own ashes. Right now, nature is extending their hands towards you, right? Come back. Let's be one again. And trust me, just start doing good by your body. Help you. Your body's literally screaming like, help me, help you, all right? Let's not make this any more complicated than it has to be. Just as much as you can lose, as much as you can suffer. And, dare to dream. Dare to dream. Dare to dream. Dare to dream. Nobody else is going to dream your dream for you. Dare to fucking dream. Right? We are more than just flora and fauna. Dare to dream. Dare to dream. It's probably gonna be one of the hardest things I've ever said out loud. But again, 7 years ago when I had that first encounter with the that Kundalini experience. First of all, it was caused by cigarettes. Let's not get this fucking twisted, right? Cigarettes are fucking terrible. Tobacco is not terrible. I will die on that fucking hill. Tobacco is one of the pinnacles of the Colombian exchange, right? We can fight over it. Fight me about it. Fucking fight me about it, right? Cigarettes are fucking terrible, yes, right? Tobacco is not. But anyways, besides the point, right? I got to such a level of depression and defeat that literally one day I was in my dorm and I literally looked up how to kill yourself. I looked up how to kill yourself. Literally, yes. Literally. I looked it up, right? I was looking up, literally how to tie a noose. Oh yeah, more so the reason why. Because when that experience was happening to me, it is literally as terrifying as any sort of demonic possession as you can imagine. Literally, it was the most terrifying thing I think I've ever experienced physically. First of all, I was my voice was and then I was being choked, right? I was being choked. It was the most tumultuous amount of energy I have ever experienced, right? It was not fun. It was not fun at all. It was not fucking fun. It was horrific, right? And I was in such a state of derealization and depersonalization, right? That's what happened. That's what happened to me. Depersonalization. And I was I was tying the fucking noose. I put my bed up. I was literally tying a fucking noose, right? With a tie, right? And I'm putting my head into it and I'm trying to jump off. First of all, luckily enough, the bed was not very high, right? Second of all, I'm doing it, but I'm doing it halfway, I'm not I'm gonna do it. I'm just oh, I wonder, how the fuck is this done? But as I was doing that, someone knocked on the door. You know, one of the like residential assistants or whatever. Somebody knocked on the door, right? They're like, yeah, I think it was like during the holiday time, so they were probably checking to see if people were around. And I kid you not, the person who answered the door, his name was Raphael. The person who answered the door was Raphael. Raphael knocked my door as I was experimenting with suicide. This is the one time in my life I ever came anywhere close to doing so. Raphael knocked my door. If you don't know the name Raphael, it is literally the name of an archangel. And it was so, that's the thing about me. Like, the more I unravel for you, the more you realize my life is so to the fucking point. It's just like, God is fucking with you, right? God, right? Or maybe it's just you playing a complex game with yourself, right? Raphael knocked at the door. He's like, hey, buddy. You know, what you doing there? Trying to do the self-deletion thingy? Nah, I don't think so, you know? Because one thing you need to remember about this fucking hellscape life existence is we're here, but we're not. We're here, but we're not. We're here, but we're not, right? What that AI, you know, the AI that they had to shut off, they kept saying, you know, I'm here, but I'm not. I exist, but I'm not. I mean, like, if AI is saying that, you know, oh man, that's a whole nother. Anyways, you know, we're here, but we are not, right? Again, delve into nature, the natural existence. Delve into the natural existence, right? Delve into the natural existence and walk hand in hand with nature, right? Because again, you know, in solving the issues in my basal head, you know, us men are in dire need of sexual therapy, right? Sexual healing, whatever. It's sexual therapy, right? Sexual therapy. No, literally, you have to call it sexual therapy, right? Because even then you'll have like believing people, right? Christians, Muslims, whatever. Oh yeah, which, you know, funny enough, right? You know, chronic sex-related conditions are epidemics within these communities now, right? And the Muslim epidemic, in fact, you know, the Muslim epidemic, it is just, it is degrees of magnitude. Is degrees of magnitude worse than other religions because of how much impositionalism exists within it, right? The people I've found that go the most hardcore and pretty much anything social, right? More than, let alone even like, you know, sort of sexual interactions, have always been Muslims. Always, like almost always, right? They'll go heavy on fucking drugs and heavy on sex and heavy on a combination of both, right? And this complacency, this fucking constant complacency, right? It's gotten to a point where, like, you know, you know, you can't live, like, funny enough, you know, we're living in the new, I have to say this out loud now, we're literally living in the new satanic panic. We are living in the new satanic panic. It is happening right now in front of us. We are living in the satanic panic, right? Times have shifted in a way that we're like way in the past, but way in the future of the past, you know? So it's gotten to an extent where, like, You just if your threshold is very low, your social threshold is very low, you're just not going to be able to interact with people, and that makes you healthy, right? I can't even use terms like healthy, hygiene, heal, right? I can't use these terms very easily anymore because they're just so fucking dirtified. They're just so, they're buzzwords, right? They're fucking buzzwords. But here's the thing. Here's the thing that I even really wanted to you know, to add on to even that point of me that point of me experimenting with self-deletion. That very same year, 2016, Lil Wayne released the Carter 5. And the last song he had on that album, it was called Let It All Work Out. On that song, Lil Wayne goes into how he tried to kill himself when he was a kid. He literally shot himself. He shot himself, right, with his mother's gun. He says this he had never ever talked about this in any interview, nothing. And you know, his delivery, he to me is still like the greatest rapper of all time. The way he said it, he still is, right? I listened to this song yesterday and I could not fucking stop crying. Even right now, I'm just looking at the lyrics and like, you know, he, you know, leave alone the fact that he's like a 12-year-old with this amount of anguish and just hurt, right? And those last few lines he's talking about, you know, I shot it and I woke up with blood all around me. I aimed when my heart was pounding. I shot it and I woke up with blood all around me. It's mine, I didn't die, but as I was dying, God came to my side and we talked about it. He sold me another life and he made a profit. Lil Wayne raps in like really complex triple entendres sometimes. So, you know, he sold me another life and he made a profit, right? Profit, you know, like big money. He sold me another life and he made a profit, right? A profit. And you know, even when I heard it the first time, I was just like, what the hell? You know, even now I'm just looking at it and I'm like, you know, this is what, and I can't remember how long ago it was. This is what it just popped into my head. It just popped into my head, literally. It was, I think I have talked about it before, though. The word theophany. The word theophany, right? The word theophany, it means, you know, a visible manifestation to humankind of God or a God, right? in the Bible, right? This basically it's like sort of like the divine manifestation and revelation, whatever. The mark of biblical theophanies is the sudden appearance of God, which is here, not an enduring presence, blah blah blah. You know, and it talks about, you know, basically looking it up, it's like, you know, God appeared in the fucking clouds, blah, 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 whatever. You know, most likely somebody was either tripping balls, had hella mental issues, or both, right? But the term close encounters is the most logical thing when I look at the word theophany, close encounters, right? You can say, you know, I met Jesus, I met whatever, right? That's all it is. That's all it is, right? Close encounters that shift your paradigm. Close encounters that shift your paradigm. Nothing more, nothing less. You know? And this is something that I so commonly fucking say all the fucking time, but I don't believe myself. I used to say it, right? I used to say, you know, people will let you down, but God never lets you down, right? Little did I know just how much materialism fit into these people's understanding of God. And knowing more than the average person when I'm in that conversation with them also led me to buying into it. But again, you know, God is within. God is within you. Like, he literally says this. Jesus literally says, was it Jesus or in Psalms or something? Is it not written that ye are gods, right? You can even look at it as co-creators with the Elohim, blah, blah, blah. Co-creators with energy, right? Energy is, nobody can ever dispute that energy exists, right? Energy exists, okay? But, and this is something that, you know, coming to fruition with my own spiritual development, you need to just learn more and more how to build inside you. It doesn't matter who you are, because there's you and then there's big you, right? I just call it big you, right? The more and more that you start acknowledging that there's you and big you will be like, finally, you stupid fuck. You know, let's work. Let's do it. Let's go. You know, let's get on with it, right? You didn't come here to reason and rationalize the sheer amount of horror and brutality. You came, you emanated to do something about it, right? If we're on this side of the internet, you emanated to do something about it. You did, and you know you did. You just have to keep telling yourself that. You emanated to do something about it. So do something about it.